call the meeting to order and we'll start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to welcome everyone to the meeting tonight. Just a reminder that we are live streaming the board meeting this evening, so we'll welcome those who have joined as well. So we'll start with consent agenda. If I can have a motion to approve that. Motion. I have a motion by Earl. Do I have a second? Second by Travis. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0. Now we'll ask if there's anybody present who would like to speak with an item that is on the agenda or any other topic. Hearing none, we'll go down under old business, under finance, the budget presentation. Philip? Yes,
we're doing a third presentation of the budget. We normally don't, but with the bond issuance happening, we've got updated AV numbers from the state, and that in turn adjusts our debt and ops stuff. So if we go to slide 4, the change, one of the main changes is the advertised debt fund is going to be, it was 3.7, now it's going to be 4.3 because we've added that potential payment in July of 2024. Next slide, the change was slide 11. It's the exact same number, but it's just on slide 11 also in its own format. And then the more important one is on slide 17. What you're going to see there is a change in the debt to ops percentages on the estimated actual. The advertised stayed the same from that standpoint, but the estimated actual has been adjusted to fit the new debt, with the goal of it being very similar to what it was this year. And then the last one would be page 19. It's just a recap, and it shows that number also at the 4351. So from an informed standpoint, that's pretty much it, unless there's some questions. Do I have any questions on that?
Just one is for the public, this will not raise Jennings County taxes.
That's the intent.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, this was an inform, so any other questions? So Philip, next capital budget.
Next up is the capital budget, which I'm just going to show you slide 3 of that one. And basically there's no changes in that. It's just like it was 2 weeks ago. But with that, I also was going to ask approval, get permission to advertise the capital budget plan.
Okay, Philip is asking for permission to advertise capital budget plan. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Pat. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Cheryl. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0.
Next up is the bus replacement plan. Same situation there. We'll just go to slide 3. And there's not going to be any changes to it either from the last meeting 2 weeks ago. And I'm asking approval to get permission to advertise the bus replacement plan.
Okay, asking for approval to advertise the bus replacement plan. Do I have a motion? Motion by Mary Lynn. Do I have a second? Second by Chelsea, sorry. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0. Now we'll go down under new business programs. We have an EL presentation.
I'll have Philip kind of pass those down there.
Absolutely.
All right, we can go ahead and go to the next slide. What I want to go over is just some basics of our EL programming and kind of what we do and what numbers we're looking at. To start off, we do belong to a Title III consortium, which what happens is with Title III money, it gets sent to them, and then they divvy out the things that they have. The Wabash Valley Education Consortium is amazing, and I will tell you, we get more than what we put into it. We get free PD opportunities, so anytime there's PD we want to go to or we want to send somebody to, if it's Title III related, we get that for free. Most of the times that would be $300 or $400. I took last year, there was 5 of us that were going to go to the Title III, their yearly Title III meeting where they had a bunch of different workshops and things about different ways we could help with our EL or ML, which they actually call multilingual learners. And it would have been, I think, $350 a person to go. We got it for free. They offer free PD pops, so every month they send PD opportunities through webinars. We can send those out to the teachers if they're interested. I share those with our people running EL, and if they've had somebody ask about a specific type of PD, they can send them that. That is all free. They do monthly EL TOR meetings, so any of our teachers that are working in the EL TOR realm, they can attend those and get tips and tricks and things to help them. Anything, if there's a new program out there they think would be good, they share that with them at that. We get quarterly Title III updates, so we get invited to webinars with them. Access to free online materials, so they have some elementary levels, the biggest area, but they have things that the kids can do on iPads and programs on the Chromebooks that the students can do to help with their language acquisition. And then they offer the SIOP Train the Trainer. So it's 3 days in the summer and 2 days that following fall where they will train people to be a SIOP trainer. And I'm going to go into what SIOP is here in a minute. And we've actually sent a couple people already, and we're looking at sending more. And we get that training for free. All we ever have to pay for is if we need to give them a hotel for the night and food for while they're there. But the actual training itself is free. And once we have enough of those, we're already starting to train our own staff. But I think we want to have a few more that can be trainers just to give us a little bit more. Okay, go to the next one. This is what SIOP is. So when we talk about SIOP, Train the Trainer. SIOP is Sheltered Instruction Observation Protocol. All it is it's a research-based method. It's how to teach our English language learners or multilingual learners. How to teach them the same content our gen ed kids are getting. So it's just a way of presenting material that makes it easier for them to understand, or ways that we can have them present material back to us so we can check for mastery. It's very much like when we talk about universal design for learning. It's kind of like a universal design for learning for our multilingual learners. And it goes through here like all of the different parts of it: lesson prep, building background knowledge, comprehension, strategies, interacting with them, how to practice and how to get them to apply what they're learning, and then lesson delivery and how to review and assess if they're mastering what we've actually taught. Go to the next slide. We're going to look at WIDA levels here in a minute, and I wanted you to understand what those WIDA levels are. I know it's kind of hard to read. If you want a bigger copy of this, I can get you a bigger copy of this. Level 1 is that entry. Okay, that's our lowest level. Those are the ones that sometimes don't even have any English language. So, or they have very minimal. We use a lot of pictures, a lot of labeling things, making those connections. Level 2 is our beginning, so they're a little bit higher. 3, developing, that's kind of your middle of the road. They can read some, they can communicate. 4 is expanding. When they get to that 4, they're really participating in that gen ed class a lot better. They may still have a few gaps, but it's much better. At 5 in Indiana, they're considered fully English proficient. So at that point in Indiana, some other states have different levels, but in Indiana, 5 is fully English proficient. At that point, they test out of WIDA and out of receiving EL services. And then we just follow them for 2 years to make sure they don't regress. So when we start looking at that, that's what those levels mean. Okay? Keep doing that. All right, next one. This is the number of EL students or ML students we have in each school. I've shown you the last 5 years. It's actually not gone up a ton from some previous years, but we are seeing an increase. And when we get to looking at the WIDA levels in a minute, you'll see where some of our higher needs are. Back in 1920, we were at 115. Where we're seeing some of the bigger jumps is at secondary. If you look at middle school and high school, in 1920, middle school only had 12. This year they have 22. The high school in 1920 it had 12, and then they dropped a little bit. Now they're up to 28. Sand Creek has gone up and down. They pretty much stay steady. Northfield Elementary's gone down a little bit. The thing to remember this year we're seeing an increase of people moving into the county. We have actually done 33 screeners. When a student moves in and they put anything on their home language survey other than English, if they've never been in Indiana school before or been screened before, we have to screen them within 10 days of enrolling. So what we do is we screen them. If they screen a 5 or higher, we just watch them and put them on our watch list. If they screen 4 or below, then they get EL services. There were 33 students screened at the beginning of the school year. Only 7 of them tested out. So these numbers reflect an increase of what we would have had. And we're continuing to see, we've already heard of, I believe, 4 more that are supposed to be enrolling in September. And so we anticipate more of them moving in. Next screen. When we look at the WIDA levels, this is by school. You know, Brush Creek only has the 3 students. One is a level 2, and 2 of them are level 4. So 2 of them we're hoping will test out this year, that we're continuing to work with them on those skills, and we can get them up to that next level. Grand Creek doesn't have any of them right now. Hayden, they're kind of spread out. 2 level 1s, 1 level 2, 2 level 3s, 1 level 4. Northford Elementary, again, it's pretty even, 4, 4, 2, and 6. Sand Creek, think about it, 15 level 1s. Those are people who speak very little to no English. That's a lot when you're talking about elementary students and trying to teach them. 6 level 2s, and then we have 16 level 4s, or 3s, and 5 level 4s. Scipio doesn't have any this year. They have in the past. They just don't happen to have any this year. Middle school, luckily, we have the largest percentage of those are in a level 4, but we do still have several. And the ones we have moving in are a lot of times non-English speakers. We're getting a lot of students that we are their first U.S. school. We've had several that have moved in. High school, we have 4, 3, 12, and 9. So that's just kind of the breakdown. Next slide. And this is just by grade, so you can see throughout the district the grade level and their levels. Obviously, kindergarten, we have more level 1s than we would get up to grade 12. They're higher, but we do have some. If you look in 4th grade, 4th grade's a pretty big bubble. You're looking at level 1s, 2s, and 3s. That's a bigger percentage there. So, and 8th grade, we actually have 7 level 4s, 5 level 3s. So we're seeing in the later grades, which means we're doing something. If they're starting off at level 1s and 2s, we are seeing some growth. We obviously would like to see more growth. So that just kind of gives the breakdown by grade. Next slide. Now here's what we do. The services we get at the elementary, if they're a level 1 up to a 2.9, they get 30 minutes a day pull out with either the ELTOR and the para or the para, depending on the day. And they get additional support in the classroom. So sometimes that para pulls them out, and then that's every single day. And then another time during the day, they might push into that classroom. At levels 3 to 3.4, it's a little smaller group, they get 30 minutes a day pull out with the ELTOR and or the para. So they don't need necessarily as much push into the classroom. So we're doing a little more pull out of just kind of building those skills. 3.5 to a 4.9, they get 30 minutes 3 days a week. So they don't get quite as much. Sometimes they push in, sometimes they pull out by the ELTOR and the para. It just depends on what the teachers are saying they need for that student. We rely on those gen ed teachers to help us, get that kind of information. Middle school, they have 1 dedicated EL period that's available to all of them. They have an opportunity to, obviously, if they're a Spanish speaker, they want to enroll in Spanish, so they're getting a little bit more of that. Here's what the English is, here's what the Spanish is, so they get some of that. And we do have a half-time EL para position that's dedicated to helping students. They're there in the morning. We have had a hard time filling that position. Right now, we do have, as of today, somebody filling in that half-time position at the middle school at least through October. And then hoping between now and then we can have another person hired. Next slide. High school, we have the dedicated EL period every day. So they actually have 2 periods. So what they're doing is it's the last period on blue days and the first period on white days. They have a period where they work on language acquisition and homework help. And then the halftime pair in the afternoons goes to the high school to work with them. Now, available at all of our schools is the curriculum. We have provided curriculum. Continental Press, at the middle school, they use a program called BOSES, that's designed for working with our EL, ML students. Then they have other things that they can use. We have a newcomer program through Continental Press, so if they're a newcomer, it's teaching them some of the basics, ABCs, numbers, things that they're gonna need to be able to function in society, how to ask where the bathroom is, how to, ask what's for lunch, little things, teaching them that stuff to begin with, and then building on that. We have teacher assistants with tools and methods to teach, so I know at the high school, our ELTOR, she sent out tips and tricks at the beginning here. You have this student in class. This is what would be good for them. If you need help, send me a message. And so she has done some little after school and trainings during her prep, teaching them how to translate stuff and do things like that. And that's training and assistance to help with translating the materials. PSYOP training is available to interested teachers. We did a basic PSYOP training last spring in April, where we brought the lady who runs our WEVEC, our consortium. She came down. I opened it up to 40 teachers. We paid them for after school hours, and I took the first 40 that signed up, and they were paid to stay after to learn about PSYOP and how to teach our English language learners in the classroom. And then now we are starting with some of the ones we have that know PSYOP and are able to train, going around and offering it to teachers who would like to be PSYOP trained and doing a little small group instruction. We've trained 3 elementary teachers so far this year, and opening it up to others who want to be trained throughout the whole district. Next slide. Now here's updates. Here's the things that we're planning or we're working on. We want to train more people on the PSYOP model. If anybody else was interested in becoming a trainer, we would happily send them to that training in the summer as well. Specific protocol, we're developing protocol for how to place them at the middle school and high school specifically, making sure all of our 1s and 2s are getting in that English language class. Sometimes they don't want to take an elective from them, but sometimes I look at the elective isn't going to do anything if they can't speak the language. So let's get them in and give them time to learn the language. I have told them to add a second EL period at the middle school. Currently, she just has the 1, so they're going to be moving some schedules around for her so that she can have a second dedicated period to helping those students, helping with homework, helping with translating, just getting in there and helping them learn the language. Offering staff training at either whole school, department meetings for our smaller schools, for our bigger schools, department meetings, training them how to translate materials, training them how to work with specific students where they can ask, how do I teach this student? How do I do this or how do I do that? Giving them specific trainings available for all of our teachers in the corporation. We're working on purchasing programs. Some of our teachers have been looking at other programs that we can purchase that will help with translating. Tracy Martin at the high school has found something that will translate a video into another language, and so we're looking at purchasing that so that we can share that out with the teachers, whether they have to send them to the ELTOR and that person translates it and sends it back, or whether the teachers are comfortable enough to use the translation tool themselves. So it's just a matter of getting that information out to them. So that's pretty much it, what we're doing. Obviously we want to see things grow. We want to see more supports for them. So.
Quick question.
Yes.
If my math's right, 121 students are level 4 and below, roughly. Do they take the state test?
They do. They take actually an extra test. They take the WIDA test in January and February, which measures their English language acquisition in reading, writing, spelling, and speaking.
So is that in English or Spanish?
It's in English. And then they do take iLearn.
Okay.
And the PSAT and the SAT.
So the kids that can't speak hardly, it's going to be tough.
It's going to be very tough.
Okay. My point is.
And those scores come up too.
And those scores go in the whole
big
school system.
Yes.
That affects Jennings County schools.
Yes. So we've got to help them build that language
I
quickly.
understand that, but it seems like to me it'd be held separate. I know. Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Common sense is.
Yeah, it's one of those things. So we want to make sure those kids are growing as quickly as we can get them to grow.
Sure.
Because it does impact our our scores.
But it affects the whole school.
Mhm.
Thank you.
So what's that look like in a classroom? If you have a teacher
Yeah.
that has one or two, or how many ever kids that are at level one,
Mhm.
are we expecting that teacher to stop what they're doing, translate something for that student? I mean, how does that look? How is that even possible for that teacher?
Not necessarily like to stop the lesson. What it would be is looking at, okay, if they know ahead of time, I'm going to be doing this lesson and I'm going to have this assignment on, this, on the Civil War. Planning ahead a little bit that we don't want our tools to translate to be super complicated. We want them to be something where they can put it in, click a button, and it translates. So they can do that ahead of time. If it's not something that is easily translatable, taking it to that ELTOR and saying, here, can you translate this for me? But making sure they get it to them, a few days in advance, and they'll translate it and get it back to the teacher.
So you think that's happening in practice though? Because what I'm hearing from teachers is they'll have kids in their class and they're just throwing their hands up. They're like, I'm doing the best I can, but I've got a kid that cannot speak our language. He's a level one. I don't have the translation skills. If I do, am I supposed to do it at home? What can we do to help our teachers? Do we expect them to go to extra training and do that stuff at home? Or?
No, not necessarily. It's a matter of getting them the assistance they need. Like so I said, we're trying to buy some more tools that will make it more simple so that they can translate what they need kind of even on the fly. The students that speak no English should have an iPad that will help translate. We're looking at some different things with some earbuds so that they can put an earbud in and at least be able to communicate with the teacher.
I think there's a combination too.
It is.
I think one is us recognizing the need, especially at secondary, and later in the agenda, we're actually asking for some additional EL support for our teachers because of the need. The other is, we were walking through and doing an observation of the high school maybe a week ago, and helping each other. We're seeing a lot of that start to happen. A teacher was trying to get something translated, and the button on Google Translate you can click wasn't working. She immediately called the EL support teacher in the building, and she was quickly helping her figure out how to do that on the fly. But I think that critically, you have to have that staff to support, right? Somebody has to be able to pick up the phone and call, and an assistant come help, or another teacher with that expertise. So I think there's a couple of things we've got to look at. Can we get programs that are easy to use? And I think Mandy's looking at trying to upgrade that. But second, we do have to have staffing support, especially when teachers have a lot of students who are level 1 or 2 with limited English proficiency in the classroom. Because that lesson flow has to go on, but at the same time, we want to make sure all kids are engaged. So I think those are two big pieces we're working on.
And one of the things I encourage them to do, and I know it's hard on some teachers as far as you might have 3 level 1s in your class versus 3 teachers having each a level 1, because then if we have that para position, we can send the para in, and the para can be doing a lot of that for the teacher right there in that moment so the teacher can continue. That's our goal, is to have that support in the classroom with the kids.
And we have a good flow with that at elementary. You see it frequently walking through the building, kids clustered around a table and getting extra support. We're needing to increase that support at secondary.
So if you have the support person in a building, they're teaching maybe one period a day where they're teaching those level 1 kids, but they're teaching other classes the other 5, 6, whatever periods they have. So when Amy calls, if that person is in their history class, so they can't help them then, right? So
that would be where the para could step out and go help. And that's why I want to increase the amount of time we have with our EL kids. Like at the middle school, they only have the 1 dedicated period. They need another period. They need that extra period where she can go out. They really need probably a couple of extra periods. Now, that's going to be a slow process because we can't pull everything away, but giving that extra period in there where maybe it's the paras working with them on homework and that EL teacher is going into the classroom.
And it also our students getting acclimated to our school system. We screened 30 new students this year. So students we've had previously know where to access things on their device to help when there's something they don't understand what to click and how to get to it. If they're brand new to us, they've not had a chance to get used to all of those tools that we have yet. So, 30 new students is a large number across the corporation to make sure we're getting everyone acclimated to what's available. So, and I think that if we keep having turnover like that every year, even if our total number stays stable, we have different students coming in and out. That's a whole nother need that we have to address.
Well, I appreciate you putting this together because that does help I know they probably don't, but they have this as well. I mean, do they know, every teacher know that's available? And
We're gonna go over it with all of them again. We have had conversations in many of the buildings, making sure that they know what supports they have. And I will tell you, I can't thank you guys enough for that halftime EL high ability person, because it has been a huge help having that extra halftime person to be able to go out and help some of our kids. Because
And
she's
she's
so
actually training
passionate.
some of our teachers too.
She's the one going out and training the teachers, and it's amazing.
Any other?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Have we ever thought about summer school on language? Maybe, having kids in that move in that can't speak, but maybe having a summer school where we teach English, which would help us maybe get ahead of the ball. I don't know.
It'd be interesting data to pull. When we had summer school, we included our English language learners, so it'd be interesting to go back and look at that data separately to see how much it impacted them.
okay, one other question, did somebody not say last time that we're not supposed to be translating stuff? Or,
So it's kind of a variance, right? So when they test, they have to test completely in English. And so it is a process of learning, right? How to get those supports in place to understand what material they're looking at on the test and in the class. Then also it's that concept of being immersed. That's what PSYOP means. Being immersed in English, you're gonna pick up more vocabulary that way than if everything's translated and you're not seeing English very frequently.
But at the secondary level, when we're saying we want them to learn these social studies skills or these science skills, are we grading them on their ability to read and speak English? Or are we gonna grade them on their ability to learn social studies and science? So that's when we tend to translate, to make sure they're also getting the content.
thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, that item wasn't in form. So we'll go down under professional staff. We have some recommendations.
Yes, please. I'm asking for approval for Tara Henry to be hired as a Northfern elementary teacher, and for Addie Lamb to be approved as a Brush Creek Elementary Title I teacher.
Okay, entertain a motion to accept those. Motion by Pat, do I have a second? Second by Travis. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0. Next, we have an additional recommendation.
Yes, asking you to ratify/approve Julie Hadley, Sand Creek teacher, 3 unpaid suspension days, 8/25, 8/28, and 8/29.
Motion.
I have a motion by Earl. Do I have a second? Second by Chelsea. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0. Next, we'll go down under support staff recommendations.
I'm asking that Lauren Demmett be approved as a Northfern Elementary Parapro, and Catherine McPeak be approved as a Sand Creek Elementary ESSER Parapro.
Entertain a motion to accept those as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Travis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Pat. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0. And then permission to post.
Asking for permission to post a JCMS 29-hour Title I Parapro. We have funds within the New Year grant, and we'd like to provide that additional support.
Do I have a motion to accept that? Motion by Mary Lynn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Cheryl. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0. And then one additional.
Asking permission to post an ESSER Parapro at the high school. This is intended to be used for EL support. This would allow for a full-time EL support. It's a temporary position for 1 year at the high school. The extra bonus, given the conversation we just had, is that then makes the other person full-time at the middle school. So it would increase support for both buildings.
So moved.
And Pat has made a motion. Can I have a second? Second by Travis. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0. Next, we're down under finance. We have some donations.
Yes, I'm asking for approval to accept the following donations. Hayden Baptist Church, $1,000 to the Brush Creek School for student snacks. Lloyd and Peggy Bowman, $100 for Brush Creek student snacks. Billy Bloomer Memorial Golf Scramble, $2,500 to the Jennings County High School Panther Pantry. and Billy Bloomer Golf Scramble, another $2,500 to the high school FFA. In memory of Betty Polly, to the high school Panther Pantry, $100 from Dwight and Marissa Patterson, and $100 from DNS Patterson LLC. Hope Food Program, the Eye Care Group, $250, and NBIC, $225. And lastly, the Northern Kiwanis $25 gift card to teachers for the following teachers: Stephanie Puckett, Kim Chillman, Tammy Galloway, Andrea Kent, Casey Downey, Jennifer Barber, Krista Lane, and Jacqueline Graves.
Do I have a motion to accept those as presented?
Motion.
Motion by Pat. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Cheryl. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0. Next, we have a resolution.
Next, I have a resolution to allow Treasurer, Deputy Treasurer to make transfers of appropriations within education, debt service, and operation funds between September 7th and the 21st in order to balance major account class.
So moved.
Motion by Travis. Do we have a second? Second. Second by Mary Lynn. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0.
Next up, common school loan that you granted that we could apply for last fall is finally completely done with the schedule. And I'm asking approval to accept the fund agreement schedule for BO 399.
Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Pat. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Cheryl. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0.
And the exact same thing for the one you gave me permission to apply for in the spring of '23. It's finalized also, which is common school loan BO 431, the agreement schedule.
Do we have a motion? Motion by Chelsea. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Travis. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0.
And lastly, I've got under property, this is an inform for the 2024 roof proposal at various JCSC locations. That's in your packet, and I'll bring that to the next meeting for approval. Roy will also be here next meeting, just in case there's any questions. Plus, this is already ran by the facilities group, I believe.
So what you're saying is don't ask questions tonight.
You can ask questions tonight if you'd like to. I'm not gonna know the answers as well as Roy does, but you can feel free to ask them all you'd like.
So that item isn't informed, so please make sure you review that prior to the next board meeting.
And this is standard, we do it every fall. This is a standard thing.
Okay, down under relations, we have an Ivy Tech Community College MOU.
We have several ones in a row here. So first one is approving our dual credit MOU with Ivy Tech. We do this every year, so asking for a renewal.
Do we want to do all of these as a group?
That sounds great to me.
Sounds great to me too.
Okay. Also then is the Indiana Workforce, it's the JAG MOU, which is also a standard renewal. The renewal of the Foster Grandparent Program. They've been doing this per each school. We're gonna just do one at the district level and save that for them. And then finally, STEM certification. Hayden's working hard on getting STEM certified. And Muscatatuck Refuge would like to work with them ongoing throughout the year in that process. So asking for approval of those MOUs.
Motion.
Motion by Earl, do we have a second? Second by Mary Lynn, any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0. Now we're down under other.
No other. I'd like to thank our parents. We've had good turnout at the middle school and high school for parent-teacher conference nights. And a lot of parents communicating back and forth if they couldn't attend through Parent Square app or email. So we really appreciate all the parent involvement.
And I know there's a lot going on the next couple of weeks before the board meeting. We have, what, a golf scramble, homecoming. We have some ducks that are gonna be dropped in a river. I hear somebody might be on a big duck. I don't know if that's gonna still happen. Anyway, fantastic. Well, been following on social media. It looks like there's a lot going on in the corporation, so exciting to see all that. Well, hearing no other items, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Chelsea. Do we have a second?